All right, y'all. You already know what time it is. It is time for my soundtrack to 2025 video, the video I do every year to go over my Apple Music replay and show y'all what I was listening to. I do tend to be a long winded person, but actually, my listening habits don't change too much year over year. There is a one pretty significant change, but I'm really about to just like fly through stuff. Also, it's like 5:30 in the morning, and I am starting a 12-hour lock-in-a-thon where I'm working for 12 hours straight in 3.5 hours. So I want to go to bed. And the reason why I'm not waiting to record this video is because I want to edit it during the lock-in-a-thon. And I need to give myself as many like different tasks to do to try and not turn my brain off during that 12 hours. So, without further ado, let's hop into it. Starting with my top 10 albums. Numbers 10, 9, and 8 were in my top 10 last year. That is the Sweeney Todd soundtrack, which I feel like I didn't even really listen to it all that much. I think it's just like with the albums, it's like if you listen to enough songs off that album, it ends up there. Like, I wouldn't really say that it was a mainstay. I probably went through a little like 1 or 2 months where I was listening to a lot of it, and that colored my entire year. Number 9 is Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, and number 8 is Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants by Stevie Wonder. Songs in the Key of Life is not a Stevie Wonder album that's always in my top 10. I know it's literally considered his magnum opus, and I love it, but I feel like it was there last year, but not the year before. But Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants is literally like a foundational album for me, and it has been in my top 10 for as long as I remember having a top 10. Number 7 is GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Now, I wouldn't say that I spent a whole lot of time with GNX as a project, but when we get to my top 10 songs, I will show y'all which ones I ran into the ground this year. And I'll also talk a little bit more about how my relationship with Kendrick Lamar as an artist has changed. But it makes sense to see GNX here. My number 6 doesn't make so much sense. It's this Brook Scottish Fantasy Joshua Bell album. It's really just because I listened to the Brook Violin Concerto a couple times this year, and violin concertos are long, so minutes kind of rack up on them, I guess. And mind you, that's the only piece on the album I listen to, but also because each movement is its own track, I feel like that counts towards it. And then again, the minutes, because I actually didn't listen to the actual Scottish Fantasy, which is on the album. I only listened to the violin concerto. Love that violin concerto, especially Joshua Bell's interpretation. I've actually played in the orchestra with him playing that concerto, which randomly happened. So yeah, apparently that's up there. Numbers 5, 4, 3, and 2 were in my top 10 last year as well. Number 5, Music of My Mind by Stevie Wonder. I mean, it's just such a charming album. I've talked about it before again, like last year. It's one of those, like, it's right before what people consider his classic period. Some people count Music of My Mind, some people don't. Um, but yeah, it's just like, I forget the word that I usually use to describe this album, but it's just really, it's earnest, it's beautiful. You can kind of see just the inklings of the explosion of creativity that is about to happen over the next several years for him. Can't recommend it enough. Yeah. Number 4 is Talking Book, my love. I have always maintained that I do not have a favorite Stevie Wonder album. However, Talking Book has a special place in my heart. I have spent so much time with this album over the years. In fact, I have a video. It's on my main channel, but it's also in my music playlist on the Delaney's Desk channel. That says, I think the title is "I listened to this album for 7 months straight. Here's what I learned," because I spent so much time listening to this album, and it really like kind of changed the way that I listen to music. Like, I just kept drilling it and drilling it and drilling it into my brain, and I ended up taking so much from the album. It taught me to listen more actively. And yeah, I would be surprised if it ever wasn't in my top 10. And I'm glad that it's in my top 5. Number 3 is Renaissance by Beyonce. And number 2 is Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. Last year was the year of Beyonce, but this year was also very much the year of Beyonce. I kind of don't need to dive into these albums. Again, they're in my last video, but just know they still getting spun around here very, very much. And my number one album of the year is actually a new one. Can you believe that? 7 out of 10 of my top 10 albums were there last year, but my number one album wasn't. It was Hymns of Bantu by Abel Selassie. So if you're not familiar with him, Abel Selassie is a South African cellist. He blends like Western classical music with traditional South African music. He is also a composer, a vocalist, and just phenomenally talented. I have had him on my radar for a few years. I would say since 2021. But I had never seen him live, never listened to his music, but I had just been following him because I saw he was actually playing at my job, the place I was working at the time. And yeah, I always saw like clips of him playing and be like, man, he seems like he would be fun to go see. And that's a huge compliment from me, particularly because I'm not a big concert person. I go see my big artists that I love, Stevie Wonder, Beyonce. I've seen both of them many, many times. Um, but other than that, like most of the time, if I go to a concert outside of that, I'm reviewing it. And that's actually kind of how I got into him this year. It wasn't a concert review or an album review. It was actually a digital interview that I was supposed to do. It ended up not happening, but it was kind of tied to the release of this album earlier this year. So I actually got in advance, listened to this album. And when I tell you, it grabbed hold of me like I ain't never even felt nothing like this before. I cried the first time I listened to that album. I don't think that's ever happened to me before. And I really can't even tell you like what it is about it. I just think that his playing is so beautiful. His voice is amazing. He does like some throat singing on the album. There's just so much passion. And it's a genre and a type of music that I don't listen to at all. And so I just didn't have any context for it. And I don't even know where to look because it's so uniquely him. Like this fusion of two worlds is something um that is very uniquely him. It's traditional, like some of it is traditional South African music, and he's also a classically trained cellist, and like he just has such an ear for blending those two worlds. And I'm just a huge fan. I almost made a very irresponsible financial decision to fly to Germany to see him live this year. And boy, am I glad I didn't do that because that would have put me on my ass. But I really, really want to go see him next year. Maybe in the States, maybe in Germany, we'll see. Moving on to my top 10 songs. Some of these are here because I listen to the albums that they are on a lot, and it's not so much about the individual song, but some of them it is about the individual song. So let's talk about it. Number 10 is this concerto that is on the Abel Selassie album. Again, that is because I listened to this album top to bottom just about a billion times. I literally was like, is he putting a spell on me? Like, that's really how it felt. I could not turn it off. So that's that one. Number 9 is Flamenco from Cowboy Carter. Listen, y'all should know by now how I feel about flamenco. I think that Beyonce had a picture of me on her wall when she was in the studio recording that song. She was thinking of me. She made this song for me. I love flamenco down. Like flamenco hive stand up. When she said, I hope that God knows that I'm in need of help right now, I felt that. Like, ugh. Number 8 is Move by Beyonce featuring Grace Jones and Tim's. Now, I've always liked Move, but there was something about it this year that like kind of put it way up for me. Like I'm not really good at ranking um anything really, but like especially when it comes to music and then especially when it comes to Beyonce and especially 3 times when it comes to her last 2 albums which have just been so they're just such a unit that it's just like it's hard for me to pick out favorites. Obviously, I just went on and on about flamenco, but like it kind of is, and so it's kind of weird that like 3 or 4 years after the fact, Move has kind of like risen to the top for me, out of Renaissance. But I've listened to it a lot this year, and right now I just feel like it's such a vibe. Number 7 and number 6 are Kea Murata and Shole Shole, which are both on Able Lauchue's album, again, ran it into the ground. Shole Shole, though, I will say is probably a standout for the album. It's the first track, so of course I've listened to that a lot of times. Every time I turn the album on, I'm listening to it, and it is just so open and freeing. Like, I remember I was listening to it on a walk, and I looked up at like the super tall trees, and it just feels like it literally feels like you're flying when you listen to that song. Like, ugh, I just love it. Number 5 is Squabble Up by Kendrick Lamar. I didn't know that I listened to Squabble Up so many times this year. I mean, it makes sense to see it in my top 10. I just didn't know it was number 5. Like, okay. It's just very, very LA. Like, I talked about this in my last wrap up video last year when Not Like Us was in my top 10, but like to see Kendrick really like deliver this very quintessentially LA sound, and people being so into it is just I lived because LA rap it can take a beating sometimes. Some people go, oh, it's offbeat, oh my god, why it sound like that, all that. And now y'all dance to our stuff. Like, yeah, period. Number 4 is Takamba by Able Lauchue. This actually ended up um rising to the top for me kind of later, like later in the year, because this album I think came out in March. I think I probably started listening to it in January or February because I got the advanced link. Also, I feel like when I first started listening to it, I didn't really know like which song was which because again, I'm just listening to the album through and through and through. Like I wasn't really paying attention to which pieces I was listening to. But then he released a music video for Takamba. And then that's when I was like, oh wait, actually like I'm singling you out. Like, yeah. So towards the end of the year I started listening to it by itself. And it's just I don't know what to say. Like it's so powerful. He really has I think I mentioned the throat singing that he does. It just adds so much dimension to the song. It has such a great climax. It's towards the end of the album, like chef's kiss. Number 3 is Peekaboo by Kendrick Lamar featuring AZ Chike. Peekaboo is such a fun song to me. Like it's like kind of witty. It's really fun to rap along to. I really love that one. I'm not surprised to see this one. Um, yeah, it's just cheeky, and I love it so much. I'm really glad that the halftime shows will put me onto it. Number 2 is Sweet Honey Buckin' by Beyonce. My girl would never leave me. Like I think that was my number 1 song last year. So enough said. And number 1 is Hey Now by Kendrick Lamar featuring Dodie Six. Again, another LA bop. I just love Hey Now. It's like it's swaggy. It just makes you want to dance. Like, I don't know. I'm really, really glad that I latched onto it because I feel like when I first approached GNX as an album, like I was listening to Squabble Up, Peekaboo, things that I had heard in the halftime show. What's the one with Mustard? I'm finding it. TV off. Which I kind of fell off and listened to that because it's not on here in my top 10 songs. But anyway, I don't know how I ended up latching on to Hey Now because I feel like it's hard for me, even when I listen to songs that I like, it's hard for me to incorporate new music into my rotation. Again, reiterated by the fact that 7 out of 10 of my top 10 albums were there last year, and probably at least 6 of them were there the year before that. But I love a song that makes me feel powerful and makes me feel like ain't nobody fucking with me. And I feel like that's how Hey Now makes me feel. Moving right along to my top 10 artists, I have a bone to pick with Apple Music. What's so annoying about how Apple Music does your replay, especially when it comes to artists, when the artist in a song is stylized as artists featuring artists, they just count the primary artist towards your top 10. But when it is stylized as artist and artist, it counts both of those artists as primary artists and they both count towards your top 10. For example, I listened to Sweet Honey Buckin' a lot this year. It's my number 2 most listened to song. Shabuzi is not credited as a feature on that song. He's credited as Beyonce and Shabuzi. So imagine my surprise when I log into my Apple Music replay and I see Shabuzi's in my top 10 artists. Meanwhile, I couldn't pull another Shabuzi song out of my ass if I tried to. Y'all don't know how hard I try not to say Shabuti. So this has happened to me before. I probably talked about it last year, but this year it took it to a whole other level. Because what I did last year is that I just took out all the people from my top 10 that had happened to. People who I did not listen to a single other song of theirs besides the one that they were involved on with another artist that I liked. The problem is on the Abel Salauchwe album, he is a solo cellist. He had a couple of different ensembles and other soloists playing with him on that album, and they are all credited as and. So I have like 5 people in my top 10. Actually, I think 6, maybe, who I don't even know who they are. Like I literally logged in and was like, who are these people? Like I don't know them. Then once I figured it out, I was gonna do the same thing that I did last year, just take them out and move everybody up. And luckily Apple Music gives you your top 15 actually, and they don't give you your top 10. However, there were so many of them that moving them up doesn't even give me a full top 10. So my number 9 and my number 10 most listened to artists are a mystery to me. So that's really unfortunate. But my number 8 most listened to artist is Tyler the Creator. I may have mentioned it before. Tyler the Creator is a foundational artist for me. I actually am not really tapped into his newer stuff, but something slipped through the cracks, and apparently that was enough for him to end up in my top 10. Of course, being moved up, but yeah, I feel like I listened to a couple things from Call Me If You Get Lost, and that might even be it. I feel like I ran like 1 or 2 songs from that into the ground because I haven't even listened to Chromacopia. And then what's the other one he did with the one he just put out like a couple months ago with the Sugar on My Tongue song on it? I haven't listened to that either. I have not been listening to new Tyler the Creator in a really really long time actually. I was really surprised to see Doja Cat on here at number 7. I feel like I listened to Paint the Town Red kind of a lot, and her song Freak I like. But other than that, I don't really listen to Doja Cat. I went through a phase where I was listening to Kiss Me More a lot. But other than that, again, just got moved up. Number 6 is a mainstay in my top 10, and that is Jasmine Sullivan. If you know me, you know that R&B is king, and Jasmine Sullivan, I mean, I've been a fan since Fearless. She can do no wrong. She's always going to be here. Um, she's one of my favorite vocalists, one of my favorite artists, for real. Number 5, we have Megan the Stallion. I'm actually surprised not to have seen Meg anywhere else in my replay. I think it's like the sheer volume that I listen to some of those other things that kind of maybe kicked her out, but I feel like I listened to a good amount of Meg. Like I don't know, but I think she debuted in my top 10 last year because last year is what like I became such a huge Meg fan. Or was it this year? No, it had to have been last year. Last year I became such a huge Meg fan, so I feel like she's gonna continue to be in my top 10. And number 4, we have Kendrick Lamar. He debuted in my top 10 last year, and he's back again. Shouldn't be any surprise if you saw my top 10 albums and songs. I feel like Kendrick Lamar, I've always slept on him, not for any particular reason. It's just that, like, again, it's hard for me to get out of my shell of listening to certain things. And, life takes you different places. I just never really got around to it. Like, I knew his big songs, but I was never, like, a deep cuts Kendrick Lamar person. I'm still not. But I'm paying more attention. That beef got me paying more attention. That halftime show got me paying more attention. That's really why I listen to GNX. I loved that halftime show and I watched it so many times. I'm trying to think of any other halftime show I've watched that much. I actually didn't even start watching the halftime shows until maybe like Rihanna's year, which is crazy because I was actually in one of them. Fun fact, 2016, I was in a halftime show. But his halftime show, I just loved every bit of it. I rewatched it and rewatched it and rewatched it. So um, I feel like I'm paying more attention to Kendrick Lamar these days. And I'm just really like I know I'm late as hell, but listen, I'm here now. That's what matters. Number 3 is fucking nuts, okay? I'm just gonna pull the band-aid off. Number 3 is Stevie Wonder. What? Before last year, if you know me, then you would know there was nobody even close to Stevie Wonder in my replay. I remember the year, I guess it was the year before last, like the gap between Stevie Wonder as my number 1 artist and my number 2 artist was like over 3,000 minutes. Like it wasn't even close. And I was expecting to see him at number 2 just because I know who my number 1 artist is this year. But like I was expecting this to see him at number 2 like he was last year, which was the first time that had ever happened. And to see him at number 3 is like crazy to me. But I'm trying not to feel no type of way about that because like nobody's ever coming for him for real. Like he's my favorite artist of all time. He's literally the artist of my life. Like nobody's touching him for me. So but I feel kind of like dang, like I swept him to the wayside. Like, well, I'm not paying attention now. What we doing? I am actually going to see him in like a couple, like next week or something like that. So I apologize. My number 2 most listened to artist was Abel Slouchoy. If you don't know why by now, maybe rewind the video. And number 1 is a repeat. It's Beyonce. I just the past 2 years, the past probably 3 years, ever since Renaissance came out, like I've been a Beyonce fan all my life. Huge Beyonce fan. It has gotten so big. Like I went to see the Cowboy Carter tour 3 times this year, and that's only because if I could have eked out a 4th time, I would have. And actually, I have beef with Beyonce because of that. Because I went to the second to last show, the one in Vegas, and the last show she brought out Destiny Child and Shabuzi. And I said before I went, I was like, you can keep Jay-Z. All I want is Shabuzi and or Destiny Child. And she brought them both out the day that I left. And I feel like everybody was like, oh well, why you didn't go to the last show? First of all, my friend was having her first child and I went to her baby shower, so chill on me. Um and that was on the day of the last show, so I couldn't. I literally went to the show the night before in Vegas, went back to the hotel for like all of 2 hours before I went to the airport and flew straight back to LA. But anyway, I feel like saying, oh, well, it's her last show. Why, you should have known she wasn't going, whatever. No, because y'all wasn't saying that when she went to Paris and she brought out every motherfucking body she's ever collaborated with in Paris and gave them the show of their lives, okay? And nobody knew that that was going to happen. So let's not act like we know what Beyonce finna do before she do it, because we don't. For my top 2 artists, I listened to Abel Slouchoy for 1,815 minutes, and I listened to Beyonce for 3,092 minutes. Now let's get into my 2025 Song of the Year and revealing my 2026 Song of the Year. My 2025 Song of the Year was Bigger in Texas by Megan Thee Stallion. I feel like I listened to the song a lot. Um, I feel like I didn't necessarily always do my part in keeping it as a constant. I have had trouble with that in the past with my song of the year, of like really, really using it for the purpose of setting the tone of this year. Like I listen to the song a lot because I like that song, but like I really want to try to embody my song of the year moving forward, and I don't really feel like I did that. But do I have that shirt on? No, I don't. I should have wore that shirt, huh? Oh well. But regardless, I still think it was a good choice. Now, for my 2026 Song of the Year, I feel like I may have considered doing this song in the past because I don't think I've done it because I've only been doing Song of the Year for a few years now. But it is I Want My Destiny by Fred Hammond. And that's really just it. I want my destiny. Like, girl, I want what's meant for me. Like, that's what I'm trying to go into 2026 with. But I'm also trying to go into it knowing that, like, a lot of that is on me. There have been a lot of challenges and things, that I feel like have prevented me, or in some ways I've prevented myself from moving forward. And I'm just really, really ready to let go of all of that and put my head down and work hard and just go for it. So I feel like this being my song of the year is setting the tone for that. It's really just like I'm ready. I want all of my hopes and my dreams that I've been casually wanting. I want to go after them, and I'm in a better place, and I'm in a place to accept them. I feel like that's a wonderful note to end it off on. Please let me know in the comments if you listen to any of this music. What did you listen to this year if you didn't? And yeah, we can have a little chit chat about it. Here are my social media handles. You can follow me over there if you like, including on my main channel where I make video essays through a historical lens. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon so that you get a notification every time I get off my butt and post a video. Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.